Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought that I would review this little video that I personally found very particularly interesting. And this is going to be another video that I'm going to review by Mr. Boxing Ego. Of course, for those of you that do not know the situation that ended up happening this week, the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. fight, at least from what I know, was officially canceled because of course, one of the fighters, Conor Benn specifically, was caught on a banned substance. Now, I believe that the substance, I don't necessarily remember the name of the banned substance, but I did read up on it. Apparently, it usually has to deal someone with estrogen, and usually it is a supplement or a steroid taken by that of women. But if you read deeper on it, it also sometimes can be used to up your testosterone levels. So do I believe that someone's rotten in Denmark, as so to speak? Yes, I do. Do I think that Chris Eubank Jr. that he deserves a suspension? Yes, I do, because he was caught red-handed on steroids. Now, do I believe that there's a certain amount of fighters out there that are more than likely on steroids, or a certain amount of athletes that are on steroids anyway, and they more than likely find a way around it? Yes, but if you're all in all going to get caught in either way, whether it was Canelo Alvarez all the way back, right before his rematch with Gennady Golovkin, or when it comes down to this certain segment, or Shane Mosley being caught on steroids, or whoever, the hell else you want to bring up, when it comes down to it, John Pascal, whoever, else I can bring up, they certainly do deserve a suspension. It just is what it is. And do I believe that Conor Benn, that more than likely that he was doing this on purpose? 100%. I think that he more than likely was a little bit worried and wondering on overall how he was going to handle facing a guy that pretty much is at least a natural middleweight in Chris Eubank Jr. And I think that he wanted a little bit of extra power, and certain steroids, especially like this one, to up your testosterone levels. Not only can it add on more muscle quicker when it comes down to it, or add on more muscle than usual, it also might be able to help you burn off a little bit fat a little bit easier. So yes, Conor Benn, in my opinion, does deserve a suspension. The fight, all in all, is going to have to get pushed back. I'm not even quite sure if this fight is going to happen again. I believe more than likely that it will, just because of the history behind it, with both of their fathers having a great rivalry and being decently great fighters. But we'll see what all in all ends up happening with that. But anyways, unfortunately, I could not commentate on that because I had certain things to do this week. But I was about to actually do my Deontay Wilder versus Robert Elenius fight review. Excuse me, not fight review, fight prediction, because I do believe that that is one of the three big fights that is happening next week. But you know what? Perhaps maybe I should save it, because for whatever ironic reason, every single time that I do a fight prediction, about 6 to 7 days before the fight actually happens, for whatever reason, this fight always gets canceled. This fight ended up getting canceled when I did Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder the first time around. The third fight, that fight ended up getting canceled the day of, when Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence Jr., or about a week of, that fight ended up getting canceled. Clarissa Shields versus, I believe, Savannah Marshall, that fight ended up getting canceled. I just do not seem to have a great amount of luck with posting it about a week before the fight. So from now on, I might wait a few days, but we'll see overall what ends up happening there. But anyways, I just thought that was funny. But anyways, going into it, all in all, I thought that this video was very particularly interesting, because Mr. Boxing Ego here, his main target is not mainly going to be Conor Benn, and he may attack a little bit of the zone, but the main fighter that he's going to be criticizing here is once again Mr. Tyson Fury. And I've had a couple of people actually recently come on my channel as of late, and they went on my Deontay Wilder video where I just talked about Deontay Wilder claiming that he once again overall was cheated. And of course, if you watch Boxing Ego, Dante's Boxing Nation, they believe full on that Tyson Fury, that he got away with cheating. Do I believe that he got away with cheating? Well, if you're talking about in terms of the perspective of cheating with gloves, no, I never believed that bullshit in the first place. I always thought that that was a whack-ass excuse. It just is what it is. Now, if you're talking about steroids or PEDs, who knows? I'm not necessarily sure on that one. Anything is possible. There was an issue back, I believe, in about 2015 with the Christian Hammer fight where Tyson Fury, there was an, alleged PED usage there, or one of his tests did come up positive, apparently. So it's very possible that Tyson Fury at one point in time, or even now, is somewhat on PEDs, or could have been on PEDs. But since both tests seem to come up negative, I can't necessarily allege that, at least for the Deontay Wilder fights. But the main reason why Mr. Ego loves to always allege these things about Mr. Tyson Fury is because, once again, he is still very heartbroken, and he still is very butthurt that his dude, overall, that he wanted to be the new Malcolm X, Deontay Wilder. He's still very pissed off and still very heartbroken deep down inside that Deontay Wilder ended up losing to Tyson Fury. And there is no worse opponent that he could have lost to than a Caucasian British man in Tyson Fury. It just is what it is. And I have a lot of respect for both fighters in Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. But a lot of the times, Mr. Ego, Dante's Boxing Nation, Aki TV, 78 Sports TV, Champside, a lot of these, channels out here, even Blue Blood Sports TV, who I have a degree of respect for, he will overall post a certain amount of negative things about Tyson Fury, and you can still tell that they want to allege that Deontay Wilder got cheated in that fight. But anyways, we're going to talk about it in this video. I just thought that it was very particularly interesting. Let's see what Mr. Ego has to say. Let's get into it.
Deception, corruption, scandal. Roll the clip.
However, you can get around the random drug testing because between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., they're not allowed to come to your house. You seem to go time rest. So a lot of athletes can take very fast-acting testosterone or growth hormones, which can leave your body, which can only be in your body for 7 or 8 hours. So you could take it at sort of 9 or 10.
And that is very true. But that's been around for years upon years upon years. What Mr. Ego is mainly going to try to allege in this video is that this is mainly happening in the UK. Now, I would have to do a little bit more research on it. Is there maybe certain drug testing sanctions to where they maybe are not as strict as what they are in America? Who knows? But at the end of the day, steroids are widely used not only in boxing but in every single sport. Now, that's not me trying to make an excuse for certain fighters that are caught on steroids. But to me, unless you're someone like a John Jones, to where you've been caught on it about 17 different times, to me is just not as big of a deal because I can't really tell overall which fighters are on steroids and which ones are off of them. And if you are going to go by the narrative of, well, I can't count this guy as a great fighter because once upon a time he was caught on steroids, or it is highly hypothesized that he was more than likely on steroids, I don't have a problem with that, and I certainly respect that opinion. But then don't just take that with one fighter that you tend to dislike just because he ended up beating a fighter that you tended to like. Also use that with every other fighter, all in all, and be fair towards everybody. Start using it with Manny Pacquiao, who more than likely was using steroids for 90% of his career. Start using it with Juan Manuel Marquez, who more than likely was on steroids for that little last quarter of his career. Start using it with more than likely Evander Holyfield, or Roy Jones Jr. when he went up to heavyweight, or Sugar Shane Mosley. And I believe even Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker at one point in time was also caught on PEDs. And if you're going to do the same thing in UFC, you have to treat TJ Dillashaw, you have to treat John Jones, you have to treat, all in all, everyone who's been caught on steroids the same. All right, or at least you have to hold them somewhat to the same standard. So I don't have a problem, with that. And Canelo, of course, if you want to bring him up as well, I don't have a problem with someone stating that. But oftentimes it's pretty much just used in order to cherry pick and criticize certain athletes that they don't like. But anyway.
Yeah, and I'll be out of your system by 7, 8 in the morning. Does that make sense? So there are ways that can get around it. Like there's a lot of ways,
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing, corruption, deception, scandal. Right now, I got you listening to Dr. Usman, also known as, I think they call him Dr. Oz, right? On his website, which we'll get to in a second, this screenshot. He's a UK doctor, and the clip you heard at the beginning was of him telling the various ways to get around and not fail a drug test. Now,
football food is cheesesteaks, wings, and fries. Charlie's has football food. When you want football food, order
to get around and not fail a drug test. Now, we look at his client list, and you see he says he's worked with Tyson Fury and Conor Benn. Guys.
So what Mr. Ego is trying to allege here, or what he's slightly hinting at, is that Tyson Fury more than likely was on some sort of steroids for the Deontay Wilder fight. Once again, if you want to maybe allege that, that's your business, but I'm not going to say that there's anything confirmed because there was no positive test that I seen, at least for those fights. So it just is what it is.
Like Joseph Parker and Tyson Fury's cousin, Nathan Gorman. This is pretty shocking stuff, people. Now, this keeps happening where people claim they want the truth. People claim that they want to be let in to what's going on in boxing. But I seem to be the only person of this stature that's even talking about this. Ironically,
No, you're not really the only person of the stature that's talking about this. Well, it really depends overall on what you mean. There's a lot of people talking about the Conor Benn situation, but if I had to guess the main situation that you're talking about, you're more than likely talking about Mr. Tyson Fury.
enough. Luckily, we have the wherewithal to screen record and take the proper evidence because I'll have you know that this doctor who's claimed he's worked with Tyson Fury, Conor Benn, and his website, it says he specializes in basically different hormonal treatments. And the clip you heard at the beginning was also him talking about there's ways to dodge a drug test. Now all of a sudden, people got hip to this and his website is no longer available. So if you go to his actual website, it looks like it's locked down or whatever he did. He took the website down or did some stuff on the back end so you can't view it. But luckily we have these pieces of evidence and screen recordings and things. So what does this mean? Well, first, this looks extremely horrible because Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
And here we go again, and I was right on the money. Once again, his main point is not going to be over Conor Benn. This man is still so booty hurt, and this community of the LDBC and new media is still so butthurt that Tyson Fury whooped Deontay X's ass when it comes down to it so bad. They're so badly butthurt about this that they are willing to spread any amounts of information or misinformation. Now, don't get me wrong. Is it possible that Tyson Fury was potentially on steroids? Who the hell knows? But once again, there hasn't been any proof of that, at least for the Deontay Wilder fights. So at the end of the day, you can try to allege that all you want to, but there's really no proof there. And keep in mind that these are also the same guys that are alleging that Tyson Fury had egg whites in the glove or he had something metal in the glove and all this other stupid bullshit. Deontay Wilder was poisoned. Do those guys seem the most logical to you? And listen, I've heard a certain amount of excuses and certain people allege certain things with certain athletes. I don't think that I've ever seen the stupid amount of allegations and it go quite as crazy and quite as far with any other athlete in any other sport that I've personally ever seen than the Deontay Wilder situation. I mean, these guys are literally alleging the craziest shit that I've personally ever seen. And it's not even just one or two things. It's literally several different ways, apparently, that Deontay Wilder got cheated. If it's not that his water was poisoned, it's apparently because his old coach, whatever the hell his name was, Mark Breland, ended up throwing in the towel because apparently he's from Detroit and there's a connection there and all this other bullshit. If it's not that, it's because Tyson Fury was on steroids. If it's not that, it's because there was egg weights in the glove. It's like which one is it? Because it can't be all four of them. That just doesn't make any sense. It just is what it is. I even had one person when I was talking about the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder situation. I even had this one dude. I'm not even sure if he was joking or not, but if I had to guess that he's not, because he's not the first dude that's talked to me about this. Not the first Deontay Wilder fan anyway. He was literally asking me a question about if I was a part of a mafia organization or if I got overall a payment from a mafia organization, and that apparently that I was one of the channels that was paid off and the Hatman Strikes Back was one of the channels that was paid off and all sorts of bullshit. And I was like, where the hell did you get this information from? And I forgot the channel that he overall gave to me, at least in the response. Overall, I might overall do a video about that soon. Who knows? But this theory or the allegations that these guys are pushing out there, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It is some of the most ridiculous, out of this fucking world allegations that I've personally ever seen.
Oh my God.
To this day.
To this day, right? He says he believes Tyson Fury cheated, right? He's of the belief that Tyson Fury cheated him in at least one of his fights, right?
Well, Deontay Wilder says that, but I know deep down in his heart that he doesn't truly believe that. And you know how I know that he doesn't truly believe that? Because when Tyson Fury confronted him man to man at the press conference right before they were about to get into their third fight, Deontay Wilder had no answers to some of Tyson Fury's questions. The main allegation that Deontay Wilder was trying to allege, which is the same stupid bullshit of what Dante and Aki TV and all these other dumbass channels were trying to allege. They were trying to allege that there was an egg weight or something metal in the glove. So then Tyson Fury asked, well, if you truly believe that, why did you not fire JD's? Why would you fire Mark Breland? Because JD's was the one that was watching my hands getting wrapped. Overall, he was watching the gloves and my hands getting wrapped, not Mark Breland. So why would you fire Mark Breland? And Deontay, till this day, with that marble rattling around up there that he calls a brain, still cannot answer that question to this day.
Whole world of boxing said this was inconceivable. This couldn't happen. The commissions,
No, it's not necessarily that it's inconceivable, but the allegations that you guys are trying to put out there are absolutely fucking ridiculous. It just is what it is. I mean, you guys aren't just alleging one or two things. You guys are literally alleging like 17 different things that apparently happened to Deontay Wilder. There was an egg weight in the glove. He got poisoned. Mark Breland purposely threw in the towel because he was paid off by Tyson Fury or all this other bullshit. He was on steroids. It's like, dude, I don't think I've ever heard this many excuses for any athlete in history. I mean, it's quite astounding.
boxing's been around. They got protocols for this. How would he have cheated?
Well, of course there's ways to get around protocols, Mr. Ego, but come on, you're literally alleging that there's an egg weight in the glove and that Deontay Wilder got poisoned, even though there's no physical or scientific or biological evidence of that whatsoever. Now, once again, if you maybe want to say that I think that Tyson Fury possibly could have been on something in terms of steroids, there's a possibility of that, but even there really isn't any 100% alleged proof. So it's just, or concrete evidence or proof. Anyway.
But then you got a doctor from the UK, and he specializes in hormones and TRT, testosterone therapy, right? And he said stuff which is now coming to the light, and then now all of a sudden his website is banned or is closed off to the public, right? And he's saying stuff. If you fail a drug test, you're an idiot because there's so many ways to get around it. Actually, let's take a listen to more of what he had to say, and I'll give you more of my thoughts to close the video.
Or growth hormones, which can leave your body, which can only be in your body for 7 or 8 hours. So you can take it at sort of 9 or 10 p.m. and it'll be out of your system by 7, 8 in the morning. Does that?
So he's trying to find loopholes, and he's saying you could take HGH and growth hormones that if you take it at the right time, these are hours that like VADA or whoever won't come and collect samples.
And that is absolutely true. The steroid systems or the steroids out there today are very, very advanced. There's a lot of athletes out there that do take these type of steroids. Now, is that an excuse for Conor Benn or any of the athletes that have been caught on steroids? No, in my opinion, they get a suspension just like everybody else. And if you're someone like John Jones that has been caught on it on about 3 separate occasions, in my opinion, more than likely, you probably should be banned from the sport for life. But in all reality, do I believe that more than likely most of these athletes are on some sort of steroid or performance enhancer? Yes, I do. Let's take a look at the snack organization, for example. I believe that the leader or the president of that organization, Victor Conte, I believe is his name, he was once upon a time overall one of the leading steroid overall organizers of the world. He was a doctor that would give a certain amount of performance enhancing drugs to high performance athletes. And you expect me to believe that apparently he's in charge of this new snack company, and you expect me to believe that he is just 100% freshly clean now. I'm not believing it. And, now who knows? They could be clean. Who knows? Do I believe that they're always 100% clean? No, I don't. No, I don't. You're not going to sit here and tell me that a former, distributor of high-end PEDs, which is a multi-million-dollar company when it comes down to, or at least a multi-million-dollar organization that can get you a certain amount of money. No, more than likely a lot of those athletes are on steroids as well, but it is what it is. And there's certain athletes in there like a Devin Haney and a Terrence Bud Crawford that have been associated with them as well. But you don't hear Boxing Ego talk about that. And you're not really going to hear me talk about it much either, because, there is no 100% confirmed evidence that they are on steroids. Do I believe that more than likely that some of them are? More than likely. But, it is what it is.
And it'll be removed from your system by the morning time. Ironically enough, famed fighter Vinny Pazienza accused Tyson Fury of being on HGH. And once again, people tried to shut it down and said this is impossible.
Do no harm. That's the oath we take as doctors. But this year, several Nebraska senators.
This is impossible.
And I'll be out of your system by 7.
Well, no, people didn't really say that was impossible, Mr. Ego, because there's many, many ways to get around steroids. That's really no doubt. I think what more people were saying is impossible was the stupid-ass allegations of there being an egg weight or overall brass knuckles or feather dusters in there. And also Deontay Wilder being poisoned. I think that's more than likely what they were alleging is impossible. Once again, these guys are never going to admit that Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder fairly. They're never going to. Overall, that was completely right about that point, and they're never going to because they're very heartbroken that Deontay Wilder, their Malcolm X, in their view, that he got his ass beat. It just is what it is.
8 in the morning. Does that make sense? So there are ways that can get around it. Like there's a lot of ways. They may take a diuretic to flush out. What they've been taking.
Masking
There's
agent.
a lot of tricks, especially when you get to the higher level, the elite level, well level, maybe European. You'll find every possible way of winning. And
You'll find every possible way of winning.
and you got to think about it when they're out of camp, when they're not in training camp, unless they're enrolled in the WB.
And keep in mind, when you take a look at Deontay Wilder in that third fight, when you take a look all in all at his build, he was on something as well. It is what it is. Now, was Tyson Fury on something? Who knows? It's really hard to tell with him because Fury has really always had a great gas tank, and he doesn't really look overall to have really done anything in terms of his build, at least overall increased in muscle mass or anything. I haven't seen any acne like what I've seen with Jesse Vargas or Juan Manuel Marquez. It's very possible that he's on something, and if I have to bet on it, more than likely, I think that he could be on something, but there's just no 100% proof, at least for the Deontay Wilder fights. But there's many, many fighters out there that I believe are more than likely on some performance enhancer. Now, once again, if you are a fighter that did 100% get caught, and Tyson Fury, it did seem like there was an area back in 2015 where there was an area where he did potentially get caught, are you certainly less reputable than someone who doesn't have a record of it at all? Yeah, I would certainly say so. But once again, in my opinion, it's just so hard because, so many of these athletes are on steroids in the first place. But anyway.
See clean boxing all year round, random blood testing. What's stopping them doping when they're out of season? However you can.
Wow. I mean, this is just absurd. At this point, Conor Benn fails a drug test. He has a female fertility drug. And then look right there, it says he works with Conor Benn. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to hear this information, see all the evidence, and determine that looks very, very fishy. It looks extremely fishy. You have this doctor who's telling you how to circumvent and get around failed tests, and he's working with all these UK fighters. If you fight, listen.
Well, listen, Mr. Ego, I understand your point, but why are you also not alleging this with Victor Conte for the American company, I believe, Snack? Not only do you have No Needle Donaire there, you have Terrence Crawford that once upon a time was there. You have Devin Haney that was there. You have a certain amount of other fighters overall that are there as well, but none of these channels mention that. Are there more than likely a certain amount of steroids that are still running overall through the Snack Corporation? Definitely, no doubt about it, at least in my mind. But you'll never hear any one of them mention that. But you're not going to hear me mention that really either, because even if I wanted to allege that, which, I don't when it comes down to it, do I think that some of those fighters within the Snack Corporation are more than likely on something? Yeah, probably. But you're not going to hear me mention that because I haven't seen overall any 100% alleged evidence, at least for the fights that I've seen as of recent. And it's the same thing with Tyson Fury.
This looks extremely bad for really the UK British boxing scene. And I'm not saying people don't juice in other regions or whatever, but usually if they are doing something that is giving them an unfair, unnatural advantage, they aren't smart enough. They're at least smart enough to not broadcast the methods and confirm that it's happening. Like they'll just like if somebody's dirty in America, right? They're just dirty. You don't have their doctor who's giving them the stuff or giving them the game or whatever, leading them down that rabbit hole, saying, hey, you could take the pill at this time and then it won't be in your.
Well, right, but Mr. Eco, I don't think that his point was, well, you should do this and you should do this. I think all what he was saying is that this is how certain athletes can get away with it. But of course, Mr. Ego is, misconstraining his words or all in all, twisting his words. Anyway.
System by this time. So I don't really know why this doctor is on record, giving up the game. But with Conor Ben's failed drug test and speculation of Tyson Fury, this raised
speculation of Tyson Fury by butthurt Deontay Wilder fans. Now, don't get me wrong. Is it possible, all in all, that he was on steroids? It's very possible. Is it also very possible that Deontay Wilder was on something, at least in the third fight? Yes, it's also very possible as well. When it comes down to it. Though I also believe that Anthony Joshua was on something, even though he's never been, officially caught. Yes, I do. Just is what it is. When I see his build, I just think that he's a little bit too big, a little bit too built, but it is what it is. But once again, I can't allege that with 100% certainty ever because for their big fights, at least from what I've seen, they've never been officially caught. At least Tyson Fury was not for the Deontay Wilder fights. Now, is it possible once again that he was on steroids? It's very possible. But once again, I can never say that, and no one can really say that ever with 100% certainty. But the reason why Mr. Ego is mainly saying this is because not only is he trying to make European fighters, especially, DAZN look bad, he's also trying to make Tyson Fury look bad. Because once again, he's still very butthurt and still very heartbroken that Deontay Wilder got beat by Tyson Fury.
There's many eyebrows and many, many questions as far as what is going on in the UK regarding drug testing. I'll be here to follow up with this.
Well, really, Mr. Ego, when it comes down to it, it's really not even just a problem in the UK. It's a problem everywhere. If you read certain books by certain athletes, even Mike Tyson, if you ever read his book or a part of his book, The Undisputed Truth, he even overall, says how he got away with multiple drug tests. Now, he never alleged that he was on steroids, but Mike Tyson was coked up and potted up for half of his fights in his career. And he used to get away with that shit the majority of his career. There's certain ways, all in all, back then to get away with drug testing, and there's certain way overall to get away with it today. And it doesn't just happen in the UK. It also happens very much in America. But anyway.
Conor Ben, he's now facing up to a 4-year ban for his drug test fail. And this is a whole L. I can't wait to see what's done in the dark comes to light. Subscribe to the channel. I'm the best in the business. I've been telling you all that, but now you guys see. So let me know what you think. And a lot of people ask me what I use to create.
But anyways, that's really about it for today. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later. And we will see overall what ends up happening with this. But I just thought that was a very particularly interesting video. As for Mr. Conor Ben, we'll see all know what ends up happening with him. All in all, if that 4-year ban does come to fruition, he will have no one else to blame but himself. But it is what it is. Anyways, that's really about it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.